Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap, and today here we are again with a new government series that is the Pradhan Mantri Adarsh Gram Yojana, and it is very important from all the examination point of view. And as you know, why is it important? Because it was recently in news, and any government scheme that is in news, it becomes important from examination point of view. The scheme might have been launched way back before, but if it is in news for some reason, you will get a current affair question from the scheme from that, right? That is why we are covering this. And but before we study, to our new audience, kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can also join our Telegram channel to get the PDF of this particular lecture and every lecture that we provide on YouTube. And before that, yes, there's an important announcement that there is super sale going on, in which we are giving 40% off plus additional 10% off on all our courses that we provide. And to use this to avail this offer, you have to use the code last10, and do remember that this code, it is valid till 29th October only. All right, so let's start with this particular, what is this particular scheme, why was it introduced, and why do we need to study our basic two favorite questions, that why was it introduced. Any scheme that is introduced, it is introduced with a particular motive, right? So here you should know that what is the motive of that, and why do we need to study that particular scheme, right? So why was it introduced? Basically, we'll get to know what is the meaning of the scheme itself, then we'll go to why was it introduced and why we need to study it, right? So first of all, Pradhan Mantri Adarsh Gram Yojana. Gram is basically the village, all right, and Yojana is scheme. That is clear. Why am I writing at this end? Because it needs to be explained. Adarsh, what does this Adarsh means? Adarsh, if I'll go for English translation, the word would be ideal. Okay, if when a person says he is my adarsh, we say he is my idol. Basically someone who is perfect or near to perfect, or you can say perfect for us, right? So what does this mean by adarsh gram yojana, ideal village scheme? What does it means, and what is adarsh, what is ideal? Basically any village, koi bhi gaon, where a person or whoever living in the village, they can have those basic amenities with them, or in other words, the basic requirement which a person has to live. For example, you should have good water facility, you should have a shelter, right? So if any village can provide all these basic amenities to the person who lives in the village, we will say that yes, this is a ideal village, ये एक आदर्श ग्राम है, right? So this is the name of the scheme and the meaning behind it. Now we'll look at why was this particular scheme introduced. Basically, see, in this one, this is a very beautiful scheme, and this is specially for the socially backward classes, right? So this particular scheme, it was made by keeping in mind the conditions of the village, and especially the scheduled caste who has to face the discrimination. And yes, you can think of as a disclaimer from myself, right? Because many, there's a assumption, especially in the general category, and even I also belong to the general category, but this is a wrong notion that the scheduled caste or the backward classes, they have attained much equality, and now it's time to focus on everyone equally. Yes, the economically weaker sections of the general category, they should be considered, there should be consideration of them, but we cannot ignore the fact that that scheduled caste, they still need that exposure. What we see, that is all in the urban areas, but in the rural areas, there's still the discrimination that they have to face, and we as a general category, we need to understand that they need help, especially in rural region. Urban area, I'm not saying anything, but for rural region, we need help, and that is why this particular scheme was also been made. So why was it introduced? Basically, if we go for the census of 2011, that is the last census that have been made, right? So in that, you can say approx 16.6% population of India, it belongs to the scheduled caste, right? And there is a lot of social and education discrimination and economic deprivation means they are not given equal wages as in rural areas. See, this every scheme, it is whole scheme, it is based for rural areas only. Do not confuse it with the urban areas, right? So this discrimination on the basis of social factors, or as in the community, or for educational disability means they're not allowed to go to schools, or even if they go to school, people don't touch them, the children from the upper caste, they don't touch those, and they feel as a child it is very humiliating. Even as an adult it is humiliating, but as a child you don't know, you cannot comprehend what's going on, right? So everything that occurs in the rural area, the scheduled caste especially, they have to face everything, and then to enable an area based development approach, right? So there are two reasons why this particular scheme was introduced. First of all, to bridge the gap that is between the scheduled caste and the rest of the community, or rest of the society. And second, to enable an area based development. This is an important word here. More of the focus is on village, as in area wise means infrastructure wise, or you can say whatever development that a normal village or an area where people live should have. For example, basic school facilities, right? Basic health facilities, everything. So two things. So here in this scheme, which villages they come under? Those villages which have more than 50% of the scheduled caste. So here you can say there are two targets. First of all, to develop a village, but which village we are talking about in this particular scheme? The villages, there are two factors we'll study when we'll move ahead with the next slide also, but for to give you a general overview, any village that have people equal or more than 500, this is for the people, the population of the village. And then again what then, uh, in those population, whatever be it more than 500, so if there is any village that is under 500, it won't come under this scheme. All right, for this scheme to be under the scheme, the village population have to be at least 500 or more than that, and in that more than that population, at least 50% should belong to the scheduled caste. Then only your village or any village will fall under this scheme, right? For example, here if 500 people are there in a population is there in a village, then at least 250 should belong to scheduled caste. Only then they'll come under the scheme. Now this particular disclaimer is specially for who are quite agitated with these caste things. There are other schemes for for the villages, right? So you do not have to think like only the scheduled class area would get the benefit of government schemes and the rest won't. It just that is for the upliftment, because they quite need a little more upliftment than the rest, and that is why this is for the scheduled caste region. This is focused for the scheduled caste. But yes, there are other schemes as well which belongs to not belongs to the caste, but it belongs to the area wise development, right? So this is the scheme, and so this is the general overview that what is the meaning of this Adarsh Gram Yojana, that would be the ideal village, right? And or the model village you can say. And why was it introduced? With the basic this factors keeping in mind, which we have just studied. Now we'll look at why we need to study it. So basically, see, whenever you're going for any examination, at least you should cover the last 6 months, right? That is the most important current affairs that you should know. And sometimes schemes are also asked in examination, and schemes they do not ask randomly, they ask whichever it is in news. And here recently in September, this is a headline of a particular news that is associated with this scheme, that now 36,000 villages, they will be included under this scheme. What are the name of the villages? That is not important from examination point of view, right? Because they won't be asking a random village from quite a long number. But the thing that we need to understand is, because of this reason, because more villages have been included and such a huge number has been included in this Yojana, so we should at least have a knowledge that what is it, and that we are going to study now. So we are going for Pradhan Mantri Adarsh Gram Yojana. We'll start with the basic things and we'll move downward, right? So first of all, it was launched in 2009 to 2010 with the basic concept of having a area development of the villages, that is basically where the scheduled caste population it is much higher, right? So this particular, the launch year is 2009 2010. Then comes the tenure means till when the aim is decided that they will develop the villages until which time. So tenure, the tenure is till 2014-15. So it is expected that whatever villages that come under this particular yojana, this particular scheme, they should idealize till 2014 to 15. All right. Next comes the nodal ministry. So nodal ministry means which ministry looks after this. So it is Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. So as you can assume also, right, because this is for the SC, it is the focus is much on the SC, right? So that is why it comes under social justice and empowerment. I hope this is clear to you all until now. Okay. um, See, right, PDF, I'll convey the news and the PDF of everything. It will be shared by the end of the today, right? So basically your concern is for the PIB. Okay, I understand. I'll convey your message. Right now we should focus on this particular scheme, right? And the PDF of every lecture, I'll talk to the teammates, and I'll assure you that you'll get it, right? Now comes the aim. Okay, now what is the aim of this particular scheme? So basically what happened, aim, we have understand the concept that after which what was the thought process while making this scheme, right? So next comes to develop villages here in this particular scheme. Although the aim is to uplift the backward section, but this scheme it aims at to develop villages. Basically villages they will be developed that have higher ratio over 50%. So at least 50 or more than 50% should belong to scheduled caste, so that the socio-economic disparity is nothing but the discrimination, you can say, or asamanata, agar मैं इसको हिंदी में कहूँ तो, right? So that is the discrimination, can be the word that could be used. So what is the aim of this scheme? To develop those villages where there is more than 50% or 50 or more than 50% of the population they belong to the scheduled caste. And why is this scheme launched? So that there is the socio-economic disparities or the discrimination, or you can say the difference, discrimination or difference can be the right word, whatever is the difference between the scheduled caste or such villages which have more population of scheduled caste, they can be uplifted. All right. So this is the aim. Now comes with the objective. So what are the different objectives of this particular scheme? To ensure integrated development. See, here is a word integrated that I want to highlight because I want to explain this to you. What is, because there is another word where I can see, I guess there is it's somewhere in the funding. I'll explain this later. To ensure integrated means the combination of many things, right? So here the word is, the objective is to ensure integrated development of all the villages. So what does it mean? Basically, see, you know that every second day we have any scheme that is related to villages, right? But what happens, every scheme it is working at its own pace, at its own time, and they have no coordination among them, right? So what happens, much of the time it happens that the schemes are not completed on time, or maybe if they do, sometimes it happen there is a lack of money or lack of something like that. So here in this particular concept, what happened, every scheme that is related to that particular area, they come together to perform as a single unit. For example, those who do not understand, for example, if you go for Gati Shakti Yojana that has been recently launched, right? In that what happened, it is for the connectivity of the roads and all the routes in India, right? So individually what happened, for example, the National Highway Authority of India, they are doing their own task. The Gramin Sadak Yojana, it is doing its own task. Every individual entity, roadways, railways, they are doing their own task, and there is no coordination between them. So what happened, you have seen the roads are made, and then after some time it is dug again for the incorporation of optic fibers, right? Because there was no coordination among them, there was no communication, no coordination, they didn't know, they're just doing their own task at their own pace, right? So instead of moving forward, what happens, we move backward. So that is why this particular, under this Pradhan Mantri Adarsh Gram Yojana, what is done, every single scheme that is working in a particular village, that would come together, that would integrate together, that is a integrated development, and then the village, it would be developed. And what is the criteria? Population should be equal or more than 500, the population of that village, with more than 50% belonging to the SC caste into model villages. Model village means Adarsh Gaon, right? So at least 50% population, more than 50% should be for that, right? ESICA we should have to read. Other than, see, these are current affair is a broader prospect, right? And this is just a scheme that is a part of the current affairs, right? So do not get confused between the current affairs and schemes. But yes, schemes are being asked in your RBI, SEBI, NABARD, or every examination, other examination, IBPSPO, and whatever the government exams are there. So this is for schemes and not for, you cannot say these are the current affairs. Why am I saying there are many schemes? See, there are many schemes that are in that is launched every second day, but we have to focus on those one which are in news currently, and that is why these are according to that. And yes, for RBI Grade B, Grade A, NABARD Grade A B, these are the important schemes that are in news, right? They any examination, they don't just randomly ask anything, they ask something which is in news. Even sometimes it happens a static portion has been asked, and you would wonder that why has been this asked, because if the examination have never asked that before, this is because something current affair that is related to that topic that must have been in news, and that is why that has been asked. These are how competitive examinations are made. They don't ask randomly, they should they make all the questions according to what is in the news. But first, now I'll read the comments later. I'll first complete this news so that this topic can be ended here, right? So what is the objective? Objective is for the integrated development, whatever different things that have that are doing that are being happening in the village, everything comes together. Now there is an integrated development. And how the villages would be decided, the population, it should be equal or more than 500, as well as more than 50% they should be belong to the model, they should belong to the scheduled caste. And most importantly, how these villages were chosen. For example, in a state there are many such villages we have which have population more than 50%, right? But we have limited funds, government has limited funds, so they cannot keep every village under this, right? That is why it was in news that this time 36,000 have been added more, because Indian government does not have that much money that it can go and work in every village, right? So that is why what is done, there's one more concept that they will go in descending order. Descending means, if in a state there are two villages, one is having 70% population SC and other is having 60% population SC, so who would be given priority? The 70% guys, right? So that would be in descending order, the village it would be decided, right? So this is the thing, that is a you can say broad objective. And then under this we have two sub points. One is they have all requisite physical and social. Here they is means village or villagers, right? Whatever you want to say, right? So they have all requisite physical and social infrastructure for their socio-economic development, right? So basically what does it mean? Because while we were studying about why this scheme was introduced, we also studied that not only to uplift SC but also to have an area wise development of the village, right? So this particular point means that there should be a physical and social infrastructure, there should be proper schools, there should be proper hospitals, there should be proper anything that is related to that would be developed, right? There should be a proper road connectivity also, right? So everything that comes under the first point, which is a physical and social infrastructure, that you should remember, that you should know for socio-economic development, right? There's a socio-economic that is basically to bridge the gap. When the scheduled caste, they will have every opportunity that the other categories of the society have, then there will be a social economic development, development. Apart is from there is another objective, that is disparities between SC and non-SC. Disparity means basically the same thing. The difference between the SC and non-SC population in terms of common economic is eliminated. So basically, for example, to provide the scheduled caste the security of livelihoodness, right? Or to check that the children from the SC population, they are being admitted to the schools, they are permitted to the schools, right? Permitted would be the right word. They are not treated as untouchables, right? Everything they should focus on to bridge the gap between the SC and the non-SC population. These two perspectives are there under this particular Yojana. And now what would be the funding according to this, right? So basically the government, it would allocate some money, right? So here a total of 21 lakh is allocated for every new village selected. So every time a village is selected to be a part of gram Adarsh Gram Yojana or the model village, as you can see here, every time a village is selected, there will be allocation of 21 lakh for that particular village. Okay, and now there is distribution of money as well. So in that 21 lakh, 20 is for gap filling. Here when I said before now, while I was teaching integrated, that there is one more word that will come in funding, that is this word, gap filling. For all those who would read the scheme by themselves also, you should know this meaning so that you do not have any confusion. So what is gap filling? Basically, when I taught about the integrated development, I told you that whatever schemes or whatever program that is already been running in the village, they would come under this particular Yojana or scheme, right? So they would have their different allocation, right? If there is a particular program that is already going on for making the schools and village, for example, and there is one more program that is already for, you can say, for hospital per se, there is already, right? But there would be some aspect where on which government did not focus, as a village as a whole. For example, I'll just go for some random thing. They haven't thought of having street light in the village. Okay, that is a very random example and basic example for your understanding. So the what happened, this for so means money had already been allocated while making the educational institute, as well as the money they must have already been allocated for the hospitals, because that was already a program going on. But they forgot, while developing the village with these aspects, they forgot that yes, money would also be needed for street light. Now that gap filling would be compensated by this 20 lakh that has been provided to that particular village. I hope you understand what is gap filling. That if some aspect or some areas that have been forgotten before, because initially the aim was not to develop the whole village, but just to have some few amenities that is being provided into the village, right? But here now it is about the development of the whole village. So whatever gap filling, that is why this amount, if you go for a particular village, it is quite less, that is of 21 lakh and 20 lakh, because there are already many schemes that have been going on. We need not to allocate more and more money for one thing only, right, doing in a different way. So that is why this gap filling is whatever have been ignored or left initially when we consider village development as a whole. For that 20 lakh would be used, and the rest 1 lakh would be used for the administrative expenses, because everything that happens in a different levels, right? At a village level, then block level, then district level. So this 1 lakh, it would be distributed for whatever administrative expense that occurs. For example, and what would be the ratio? Because there would be many officials that would work at the center level. There would be a center level, there would be a minister, not minister, but yes, some appointee that would look after if everything is going well or not, right? Then under him would be someone at the state level, then under him someone would be at the district level, and then at the village level. So this 1 lakh, how would be divided? Whatever administrative expenses at the ratio of 1:1:1:2. So basically state would have that 1% of this 1 lakh, the state would have 1 lakh, the district, but village would have 2, because this thing, that is the scheme, it is being implemented at the village level. So of course whoever appointee that is in the village level, he would have to work more in comparison to the rest of the seniors he would have, for whom he just would have to submit the report, right? So this is the ratio of the proportion of the expenses, right? Now this is the funding. And secondly, this 21 lakh, it would be provided when this particular village it would come under. But so that is a one time thing, this 21 lakh. But it is not like that in under 1 lakh only any village would be developed, right? So then after that there is also component additional round of funding. So once 21 lakh will be provided, but after that if it feels like more money is needed, right? So then what would happen, 10 lakh would be given for the continuous development. So because most of the time it happens due to the limited budget, any project it is stopped in between. So this does not happen in this particular case, because the tenure that we have kept in mind, that is to till 24-25. So that is why this additional round in money of, you can say, funding of 10 lakh would be provided to the villages. So this is the basic concept of this particular Adarsh Yojana, Adarsh Gram Yojana. And then this, how would we say that if a gram would have become Adarsh or not, or if a village has it become a model village or an ideal village or not? How will we classify that? So basically we have some monitorable indicators. Okay. So what are these monitorable indicators? These are basically some of the aspects. For example, we'll look at if there is proper sanitation or water facility in village or not. If there is not, it still does not come under Adarsh Gram. But if it has, it comes under it. Then for example, electricity, right? We have health and nutrition. Are the people in the village, they are healthy or not? If the requirement of whatever health nutrition it is required, is it being fulfilled or not, that would come under this. So there are at least 50 such indicators, right? So there are some basics that I have told here. Apart from that, we have, if the in agriculture, if the best practice that exists in India for now, are they followed or not, right? Or are they still going forward with the traditional whatever traditional practices that used to happen, right? And then digitalization, right? Because in urban areas there is a lot of digitalization, but in the rural area, is digitalization, is it going or not? Everything that would come, everything would be considered, and then we'll look at if this particular gram has become Adarsh or not, this village has become idle or not, right? And there would be many committees. If we'll go for the official website of this particular scheme, they have just written several committees will look after this. There is no mention of the committees. That is why I cannot tell you also, because in fact the official site does not name the committees, but several committees, they would come together for the convergence. What is convergence? Convergence, if we go for the graph, it will go like when many other things they come together for a simple task. And as I said before, this is an integrated development. Whatever things that have been already running in the village, whatever schemes, programs, they would all come together to make the whole village idle. So this is the convergence way. Divergence is when from one point many directions go, that is the divergence. And convergence is from when many they come to the single entity, that is the convergence. So this is for the convergence, and various committee will come together for this particular aim, that is to make a gram Adarsh where more than 50% population is scheduled caste, to bridge the gap between the backward class as well as not backward, but yeah, scheduled caste as well as the non-scheduled caste population of the country. So that is all under this particular scheme. I hope this particular session was fruitful for you all. I'll read out the comments that have been made during the live chat, and if I feel like I could answer them, I'll answer, right? So please tell him to share. Okay, so I'll definitely tell the team to share all the PDFs that have been pending for now, to share on the Telegram channel. And these, yeah, and I've already told you about this is a part of schemes can be we categorize schemes as different as current affairs, but even if you want to keep this in the current affair portion, scheme is just a part of current affairs, right? You cannot include it the whole current affair. And in fact, only the schemes that have been launched now, like for example, if this scheme has been launched in 2021, this September, October only, then you could have considered this as current affairs. But yes, this have been launched way back. It was just in news. That is why it is important to study, and that is why we have incorporated it, and it belongs to every examination that you are preparing for. See, for I am here for teaching schemes, and currently I'm focusing much on the agriculture and rural development schemes. Why? Because NABARD grade A phase 2 and both NABARD grade A and NABARD grade B phase 2 is to be done soon. It would be on 16th and 17th November respectively, right? So that is why I'm focusing on much on agriculture and development, rural development schemes. It does not mean that it won't be asked in your RBI or SEBI or any other examination. So what I can say for me, that for schemes you do not have to worry. I'll cover all, right? Apart from agriculture, I'll also do once this NABARD examination is over, and we have other faculties also who will go for the other schemes as well. You need not to worry about the scheme section, right? But for current affairs, I personally cannot promise you, right? Because I'm here for schemes. For current affairs, we have Devanshu Gupta sir, we have Devanshu Kaushik sir who teach current affairs, right? We have Gurkirat sir also who go for current affairs. So for I can vouch for them कि उनके भरोसे रहो, right? For schemes, I am here, so it depends on what section we are teaching and which faculty you are talking to. Here I am for schemes, so I can vouch for that. I cannot vouch for current affairs. We have faculties for current affairs. We have different playlists for it. Do check them out, and I assure you, even the YouTube content, it would be, I guess, very helpful for you for the examination if you're going to. And I hope your doubt is clear, Sejal. And that is all for today. I guess this session it become quite long due to the discussion, but I hope the session was fruitful for you all. You understood the scheme well. I'll come again tomorrow with a new scheme. Until then, all the very best for your examination. Keep study hard, and all the very best for whatever you're doing in your life.